Yeah? Oh, test, test, test. I'm reading a book at this volume. Can you hear me? Excellent.
Like her, I can be Janet Jackson.
If only. All right, how's that volume?
Okay, I'll probably
Yeah?
adjust it a little bit.
Okay. And I'm usually a little quieter with the children, but yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Is that enough? Yes. Is that what, yes. Fancy enough? Shala. It's exciting. It's actually, it's supposed to wait, but it doesn't sound that bad. Actually, it's, I think we're okay. We're gonna be good for a month. There's a couple high notes that are bad, but everything else is. It's good. It's not as bright as the Yamaha, so it's not like it doesn't feel as loud in the space because all these hammers, they're like freshly fluffed and not grooved, and so I mean it's very dynamic and it feels good, but it feels like it doesn't make as much sound in the space, or like it's just not as bright, but it's not as percussive either, which I like. I like that it's not as percussive. So. It looks nice, yeah. This is the only blemish on the whole thing. Is that little blip right there.
Good morning. Woo, that's pretty.
It sure is. It's shiny.
You need to get a mirror on the bottom so everyone can see
I
it.
know, like a same piano can.
Oh, yes.
No, Brian's out. I don't know what he's doing. Probably maybe a retreat with Montana or something. I'm not sure.
Folder here, so it's probably empty.
Oh, I can open the choir library for you after the service if you want to look for it.
just stand here and look at it. Now we'll have to see how it sounds.
Well, it hasn't been tuned since I moved it.
Well,
They can't, they said not to tune it for 3 weeks. So I'm sure it will just be horrible. How did we come out on the benches?
Good. We still have the like torn up one upstairs.
Yeah,
Probably
okay.
just try to sell it.
Okay. Do we have that on our bench?
Yeah, the one that came with this piano is actually in the computer library. I don't know why
Oh,
I
okay,
haven't
okay.
pressed it. It's just-
Okay, okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is just beautiful.
I know.
Check, check, check. Good morning. An announcement before we get going this morning with our service. I'm Carol from Property Management, and we need your help after church today. You're all looking very hale and hearty, which is good. So those of you who are willing and able, tomorrow our carpets in the sanctuary are going to be cleaned. That means we need to remove the chairs. As some of you may remember, we did this last year. We have three kinds of chairs in here: armed, unarmed, and unarmed with shelves to hold hymnals. One of those is over here, and if you look closely, you can see there are hymnals on the shelf. All of the chairs, of course, are worthy. Please, at the end of the service, remove the hymnals from any of the chairs around you, and we'll stack those on the windowsills. Otherwise, if you pick up a chair with hymnals on the shelf, you're going to have a broken toe. We don't want that to happen. If you are able, then please help us by detouring on your way to coffee and bringing chairs up here. We'll stack them on the stage, as many as we can get up here. When the stage is full, we'll put the remaining on the west wall in the community room. Thank you for your help in advance. We're looking forward to having a clean carpet as another step in the care and loving of the sanctuary.
Good morning. My name is Ed Derringer. I'm the Vice President for our Board of Trustees. First announcement is keys to a red Mazda were found in the parking lot, and Rhonda has those keys for whoever's missing them. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whether you carry joy or sorrow in your heart, you are welcome here. All people of goodwill are warmly invited to join us on the great journey of the mind, the heart, and the spirit. If this is your first time with us today, please let the offering pass you by. Your presence is gift enough. We hope you'll join us for coffee and conversation in the community room after the service. We would love to get to know you and answer any questions you might have. You can also visit the information table next to the exit from the community room. On the first and third Sundays, this is the first Sunday, the offering at First Unitarian is donated to an organization from the Denver community, which has been chosen by the Giving and Action team. All cash and checks will be donated in full unless otherwise designated. We will learn about the organization chosen for this Sunday's offering later in the service. If you're looking for ways to engage with our community and support the work of the congregation, please visit the opportunities table at the back of the community room after the service. There are a variety of activities that would welcome more helping hands who would love to match you with an opportunity that interests you. Please remember to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. And now Leah will also have an announcement before we start.
Good morning, First Unitarian. First of all, I want to make sure you know that our Capitol Hill Concerts series launches this Saturday. This is our 6th season. If you're new around here, this is a great concert series that we host at the church. We include wonderful artists and a variety of styles. This Saturday, November 9th at 7 p.m. is our opening show. It's Gonzalo Tepa Origins. They play Latin American jazz. They're wonderful musicians. I hope that you can come. If you're interested in season tickets, $70 for 4 shows, super affordable. You can get season tickets through this Saturday. We'll be selling tickets out there after the service, or you can go online, capitolhillconcerts.com, and buy tickets there. Here's our season. Too small to read. So come talk to us out there and I'll tell you all about it. Secondly, we have a shiny new piano in our sanctuary. This piano is made by Schimmel, which is a German-made piano. I will be taking your nominations for good German names. I would love to name this instrument. It's a 6-foot grand. It's the same size as our last piano. It's about 30 years younger than that one. And it plays like a dream. I love it. The Yamaha piano that was here was moved on Wednesday, the same day that this one arrived. A retired couple in Erie, Colorado purchased our Yamaha. So a lot of people have been happy to know that it went to a good home, and both the husband and wife they both play piano, so they're already really enjoying the instrument, and it's an upgrade from what they had. It was made in Germany, yes. I want to thank specifically Nellie Stagg for taking this crazy idea of mine that I had in April, getting all excited about it, running with it, talking to the stakeholders, and quickly putting a plan into place to make this a reality. I want to thank the auction committee for saying yes to making this our special call only 1 week before the auction. And most of all, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the 62 individuals who made a donation toward the piano. So thank you so much. We've been asked to let the piano sit in the space for a few weeks before we tune it. It sounds pretty good, but there's a couple high notes that are questionable. Once it's tuned, maybe in December, I'm looking forward to giving a proper mini recital after a service here on some Sunday morning. And now, my very first ribbon cutting ceremony ever. I'm so excited. So please take a moment to warmly greet those sitting around you. Good morning again. Whoever you are, wherever you are, worshiping here or online, you are so welcome here. Please join us in singing our song of welcome. We are many, we are one, the light of the world is within you. Sacred and worthy is your soul, a place has been made for you.
Good morning. Our call to worship today was written by Reverend Scott W. Alexander, and I will try to get through these words without crying. In a world with so much hatred and violence, we need religion that proclaims the inherent worth and dignity of every person. In a world with so much brutality and fear, we need a religion that seeks justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. In a world with so many persons abused and neglected, we need a religion that calls us to accept one another and encourage one another to spiritual growth. In a world with so much dogmatism and falsehood, we need a religion that challenges us to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. In a world with so much tyranny and oppression, we need a religion that affirms the right of conscience and the use of a democratic process. In a world with so much inequality and strife, we need a religion that strives towards the goal of world and community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. In a world with so much environmental degradation, we need a religion that advocates respect for the independent web of all existence of which we are all a part. In a world with so much uncertainty and despair, we need a religion that teaches our hearts to hope and our hands to serve. Everyone, welcome.
Okay, it's time for the young and the young at heart to join me up front. Before we get started, sit on this side so you can see the book, okay? Before we get started, if there are, and I know there are a lot of you in the room who have served in the last few months in RE, please stand up so we can recognize you. Thank you, thank you. Yes. Yes. We could not do it without you. I went to a Loretta online kind of training recently, and people from all over the country, and they were just flabbergasted that starting the program so young, and we already have so many volunteers, and I said, I don't think it's much that I've done. It's really a beautiful congregation who's very supportive. So thank you. Thank you. And a huge shout out to Mary, who is starting our nursery again this month. So if we have any babies, they can come with Mary starting today. So hopefully we'll have some little ones. See if that was it for my announcements. I think that was it. Okay. So, friends, we are going to start learning about religions. And we're going to ask you the question today, what are your thoughts on God? You might not know yet. So I thought I would start with this story, some pages called, What is God? What is God? You are asking a very, very big question. Boys and girls, grown-ups and old people, everyone wants to know, what is God? People who live in forests and mountains, people who live in deserts, in cities, on farms, everyone wants to know, what is God? Maybe we can't really talk about God because maybe we can't see God, or maybe we can't hear God, or even taste or smell or touch God. Maybe we can only feel God, like when we feel love, or like when we feel happy or sad. And there are people who don't believe in God. Maybe God is what you feel when you stand on a very high mountain and see a big, beautiful view all around you. Or maybe God is what you feel when you hear beautiful music, sometimes soft, sometimes loud. Or maybe God is what you feel when you see 1,000,000 stars at night and when you feel very small looking up at them. Maybe we can feel God when there is loud thunder or bright lightning outside our windows. And here are all these people, different ages, different races, different nationalities, wondering, what is God? A religion is a belief held by people, a group of people, who all understand God in the same way, usually as one teacher taught them about God. So starting today, we are going to start talking about all the different world religions. We're going to start with our own church. Do you know what our church, what we believe? What is our church called? Yeah, it's Unitarian Universalist, the UU Church. So we're going to start learning about that today. And our big question for you is, what are your thoughts on God? You ready to get started? All right, let's do it. You have some ideas?
Please stand, as you are willing and able, and join me in singing Gather the Spirit. It's in your gray hymnal on page 347, or you can follow along on the monitors above. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Witness them in all the same. Gather in peace. Gather in thanks. Gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit of restored, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, joined by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again.
I'm Kathy Aguirre, and I'm here this morning to introduce our Giving in Action recipient, Project Worth More. And as Ed mentioned, for those of you that don't know, our Giving in Action program, we give away our plate. We donate our plate to causes outside our four walls. We do that twice a month, and we've done it for 18 years. This started in 2006. So Project Worth More today is an organization near and dear to my heart. I volunteer with them, and I have for the last year. And I asked them to apply to our Giving in Action program, and I'm really delighted that our committee chose them. A couple of years ago, as I was getting ready to retire from my day job, I decided I wanted to do some volunteer work in immigration for a couple of reasons. One, we all know the immigration system is somewhat broken. I personally like living in a multicultural, melting pot country, and I'm also the granddaughter of immigrants. Like many of you probably have immigrants in your families. So I first started to volunteer with a large national organization in town that has high visibility and does a lot of good work, but it wasn't a good fit for me. Too much bureaucracy, too much red tape. But it led me to Project Worth More in Aurora, where I found out about English classes for the family I was working with and their community outreach program together Tuesday. Project Worth More is definitely a grassroots organization. They really strive with real people to meet real needs. Everybody is welcome. The environment of respect and appreciation is just palpable. And it's not haves helping have-nots. It feels like neighbors helping neighbors. So there's a saying that Lee and I talked about, that you're going to hear music about. When you have more than you need, which we really do in this country, don't build a higher fence, build a longer table. And that's what Project Worth More is doing in action every day. So if you're here this morning or watching from home, please give generously, if you can, to help them build that table. And I'd like to introduce Jamie Laurie, who is the Director of Community Engagement, to tell us more about Project Worth More.
Thank you, Kathy. Well, first of all, I go to a church, Capitol Heights, down the road, and sometimes we'll have as many as 20 people on one Sunday, and so it's incredible to be here at this impressive megachurch. And second, this is my first time here as through my role at Project Worth More, but I have another kind of parallel life as a member of the band Flowbots, and I've actually been here a lot of times. Oh, thank you. Our guitar player got married here. Our violin player's father's memorial service was held here. And then through an effort called No Enemies, we had a lot of different kind of collective singing events here. And so I want to give thanks to y'all's witness over the years, not just a place that's welcoming for life events, but really the witness I've seen you all have given during the Black Lives Matter movement, through the sanctuary that you've held here. So I'm really, really grateful just to get to be here today with you all. Project Worth More is based on East Colfax. It's based in this place called Aurora. Obviously, it's been a little bit bizarre and a little bit terrifying to have Aurora brought into the national spotlight in the way it has been in the election cycle. It's been my biggest reaction has been that what a different world I'm living in than the picture that's being painted. Even the questions being asked just feel very kind of irrelevant, two-dimensional, and unrelated to what I'm seeing every day. So I want to try to paint just a little bit of the picture of what Project Worth More is. Of course, there's a description of our programs in the bulletin. I'll say first, though, that the one way it really has affected Project Worth More to be mentioned in these national conversations is that we've felt even more fiercely protective of our community. And so, for example, there's an end-of-year video we were going to release, but because of some of the folks that featured who said, yeah, it's fine to feature our stories, we had second thoughts and said, you know what, we'll share this with people individually, but we're not going to post this publicly. So after the service, if you'd like to see the video, I would love to share it with you all, but it's not something we're releasing publicly, but it does tell a pretty incredible story of what our last year has been like. Project Worth More, each of our programs is sort of a microcosm of this different world that's being built, where people really are helping one another, lifting as they climb, building the world we want to see. And it's so vibrant that it's impossible to truly sum up, but just as a glimpse, our dental clinic has probably 25 languages spoken within the clinic. So people in this clinic, most of them have themselves been refugees and gone through that experience, and they're helping other folks who have that same experience. This includes actually an Olympic Muay Thai woman fighter from Afghanistan who is working there as doing sanitation. I don't know the correct term because I'm not in the dental clinic, but when you cleanse the equipment, it includes a woman from the Sudan who was a dentist in the Sudan but has to get recertified. So we have some people who are overqualified for their positions because they have to go through that recertification process. So the dental clinic itself is already this microcosm. Our food system involves both a farm and giving about 400 bags of fresh food, no canned food, away each week. Our food systems director is from the Congo, but also he speaks about 6 languages. He picked up Spanish in Fort Morgan, so he's working with Spanish-speaking and French-speaking staff from Mexico and Mauritania and Somalia, and Karenni folks from Burma. So he himself is kind of leading this multicultural team. Real quick, how many of you all, if you were in another country, let's say you were in a Spanish-speaking country, would be able to fill out a form and apply for a job? You think you might be able to do it? Okay. What about in Japan? Anybody? Okay, so our navigation program is built around the simple observation that it's in a new place, in a new language, there's a lot of new systems to navigate. And so we have 4 full-time navigators. Within 2 years, we hope to have 7 full-time navigators who are working with people, often in their language, to deal with all of the many things you could imagine would be difficult in a new place. And then I want to tell just a brief story that involves our English program and the community engagement program. About a year ago, while most of the country was talking about folks coming from Venezuela, we met a different group of folks who were not being mentioned in the news. One of our English classes, there was one student signed up who had brought about 6 friends. And so our English teacher said, hey, we need to just check in. We actually have to register for these classes. So we wanted to check in with the 6 friends you've been bringing. And they were all from Mauritania. Now raise your hand if you want to admit publicly you're not quite sure maybe where Mauritania is. 100% of my friends were not sure, but it's fun to have people guess. Mauritania is in West Africa. It's probably the largest. It's the most direct country. If we were to fly from here to there as a bird, you would end up in Mauritania. So it's actually relatively close for an African country, and it's a large country. These 7 students, we said, look, you need to register for these classes. We'll set you up with that. But in the meantime, we also have an event tomorrow night, Neighbor Night, a monthly potluck. I think Kathy was at this Neighbor Night. We said, we'd love to have you come to Neighbor Night. So they said, can we bring our friends? And we said, of course. So these 7 folks all showed up that night. With 7 additional friends, so from 7 to 14. And then the next day we said, well, we have a small group event. There's one teacher, Cynthia, she works with 4 or 5 people, so you would be welcome to join. And so 28 people showed up for the small group. And then the next day I said, well, there's an event called Together Tuesday, and we do these different theater games, and it's people from all over the world. We use some English, we also learn other languages. Y'all would be welcome to come to that. And so the next day, a guy walked down the stairs and he said, hey, do people need to sign up or can people just show up? So no, you're fine, you can just show up. And so he snapped his fingers And then there was a line of people that came downstairs, and I had wondered, is it going to double each time? And it did. It was 60 people who showed up for Together Tuesday. We soon learned there was a community of about 200 folks from Mauritania who were living in East Colfax, who had stumbled upon Project Worthmore, and they didn't exactly fit like who we were set up to serve. Most folks were asylum seekers, not refugees. Many folks were looking for English classes, and our classes quickly filled up. But we had people from the community, volunteers, who said, well, I'm a retired trainer of teachers. I could hold some classes for 60 people, no problem. So we had 3 incredible volunteers holding overflow English classes. We had one of our staff called a lawyer and said, can we do a basic Know Your Rights training? We did it outside on the grass. We improvised, and then the story that so many places has been one of scarcity, for us felt like one of abundance. Because guess what? The people who came from Mauritania also brought an incredible set of stories, values, language, food, and we quickly learned that in this particular community, the Pular-speaking folks, often known as Fulani, a high value is volunteerism. So they were constantly volunteering, helping to serve others, helping to move things around. It has been an incredible community to be connected with, and it's one of several dozen different communities that are working together right now to solve problems and build a better world in Aurora. So I say all that to say, just by listening to me right now, you are deputized as part of our community. You're part of the Project Worthmore network, and we need you. We need you because there is a much more beautiful, more three-dimensional offline story happening in East Colfax. It involves people working together from around the world. So it's happening in East Colfax, it's happening in Aurora, it's happening at Project Worthmore, and it's happening because of you. So please, afterward, come say hello, and thank you so much for making us, for choosing us to be a part of your community in this way. Thank you.
When the mind fills with fear, the heart may grow cold. It can happen to anyone, both young and old. But fight against the hatred you've been shown. Open your hearts and you will behold. Build a longer table, not a higher wall. Open the doors for those who call. The bounty of this world is for us all. Build a longer table, not a higher wall.
Let go of protecting what you think you own. Give up what you can and that you have sown. Greed is a heavy, fear-laden stone. Never leave you hungry and all alone.
Build a longer table, not a higher wall. Open the doors for those who call. The bounty of this world is for us all. Build a longer table, not a higher wall. From the bombed out streets of Aleppo to the shores of Greece, they come and they go.
want to do is live in peace. They say to you, they say to me, help us please, help us please, help us please, help us please. Build a longer table, not a higher wall. Open the doors for those who call. The bounty of this world is for us all. Build a longer table, not a higher wall. Build a longer table, not a higher wall. Build a longer table, not a higher wall.
Thank you. Your gifts freely given this morning are gratefully received. Thank you for your support of Project Worthmore and all the good work they do in our larger community. Thank you. I want to take just a moment, and Leah mentioned all the folks like Nellie and contributors and others who helped make this piano a reality. But it was actually Leah who went out and looked at I don't even know how many other pianos and played them and analyzed their usefulness for us and hired a professional piano restorer to put this one up to speed. Anyway, thanks. Let's give a big hand to Leah for her work on it. A couple things I want to let you know about at this moment. Wednesday night, the day after the election, you know there's an election Tuesday, right? Yeah. Wednesday night after the election, this space will be open at 7 o'clock. We're calling it Election Decompression. It may be a time of anger and mourning and grief. It may be a time of celebration, but it's open to everybody, and we're just gonna breathe together and let go of some of whatever anxiety we've been carrying leading up to this election. They'll be participatory. Leah will be here to provide some music. We will just a community event. So you're all welcome. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. I also want to let you know that I have a class coming up called Prayer and Blessing. It starts a week from Thursday on the 14th. Now, I get a lot of questions about that. Really? Like you pray in a Unitarian Universalist church? And the answer is yes. But here's how I think about it, and here's how I teach it, and you should know this. My model is the gospel, and in the gospel, you might be aware, there's about 40 times where Jesus goes out to pray. He goes out into the desert to pray, goes into the garden to pray, goes in various places, but it never says what he does. There's like no quotes of Jesus praying in the gospel. They're not there. So there's just this mystery. Jesus goes out to pray and it's like, here's what I think. And I think this is actually biblically sound. I think he goes to kind of check in. Does that make sense? He goes out to the desert, he goes to the garden, or he goes off by himself and he just kind of like, am I getting it right? You ever had a place in your life where you've got to, where you just want to get like, am I getting this right? Am I doing this right? Now to me, and the way I teach it, if that's the question you're asking, you're in prayer. So that's what we do in the prayer and blessing class. We're gonna explore those kinds of issues. You're all welcome. It won't cost you a dime. 4 Thursday nights, except for Thanksgiving Day. We start a week from this Thursday. You got to register, though. Send me an email so I know you're coming so I can prepare adequately. And the last thing I need to let you know is today is our monthly Whole Soul Studio. This is a community event, just an opportunity for us to get together and talk about stuff that matters. After the service, we're going to be moving the chairs out of this room. So today we're going to do our Whole Soul Studio upstairs in the chapel. Our subject is going to be hope. You're all welcome. 12 o'clock today. Please enter with me a time of meditation, reflection, or prayer. Please enter with me a spirit of meditation, reflection, or prayer as I share some words that often give me life. This is called Vahavta, was written by Aurora Levins Morales. Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return. In times of mourning and in times of joy, inscribe them on your doorposts, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders, teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies. Recite them in your sleep. Here, in the cruel shadow of empire, another world is possible. Imagine winning. This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning. The exact smell of the summer streets in which no one has been shot. The muscles you have never unclenched from worry, gone soft as newborn skin. The sparkling taste of food when we know no one on earth is hungry. The beggars are fed. The old man under the bridge and the woman wrapping herself in thin sheets in the back of a car, and the children who suck on stones nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying their shelter. Lean with all your being toward that day when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune out of the heavy clouds and justice rolls down like waters. Defend the world in which we win as if it were your child. It is your child. Defend it as if it were your lover. It is your lover. When you inhale and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37.2 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. And then imagine more. Imagine rape is unimaginable. Imagine war is a scarcely credible rumor. That the crimes of our age, the grotesque inhumanities of greed, the sheer and astounding shamelessness of it, the vast fortunes made by stealing lives, the horrible normalcy it came to have, is unimaginable to our descendants, the generations of the free. Don't waver. Don't let despair sink its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing. Escalate your dreams. Make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion, and keep walking. Hold hands. Share water. Keep imagining so that we and the children of our children's children may live. Amen.
We'll extend this time of prayer with a singing meditation. Please feel free to join us when you're able.
Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
If you'd care to, feel free to stand up and stretch for a moment. Just the other day, I think it was Friday, my lovely wife turned and said to me, "You are so distracted. What are you thinking about?" She was right, as usual. I was pretty distracted. I was so distracted, in fact, it took me a minute to formulate an answer. And I don't remember what I said word for word, but it was something very much like this. I'm worried about the election. But more than that, I'm thinking about what I will tell my people, you, that is, and how I will help to lead this community into the future if, in the event that the former president becomes the future president. People, my people, will want, and they will need, and they will deserve a church that can minister to them in their grief, their anger, their bewilderment, their fear. They will be looking to me to have some wisdom or some guidance, or at the very least, some perspective that will be helpful in that event. And so I'm thinking about what will need to be said, and very specifically, what I will say if that happens. These things keep me up at night. Maybe you too. That's pretty much exactly what I had been thinking about that, and I'm not making any predictions. No one knows what's going to happen this week as election results come in, least of all me. I have been thinking, though, about that old cliche, right? Hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So it's no accident that my topic today, 2 days before the election, is preparation. Are we prepared? Are we ready? And I don't mean politically, that's largely beyond our control. I mean, like, are we prepared emotionally, mentally, spiritually? I vividly remember 2016. After that election, when so many of us felt like the country had just somehow fallen apart. Not for the first time, I had people in my office literally crying, not sure that they still had faith in humanity. Serious matters of the Spirit. That feeling then, and I don't think I'm wrong, the feeling was at that time that the country that we thought we lived in had just turned out to be kind of a mirage. Some of you I see nodding heads. I remember preaching that the country that had just elected the poster child for selfishness, ignorance, misogyny, and religious bigotry, that country had always been here. It had just been more or less covered up. But the 2016 election, it felt like the veil had been removed. And the truer face of America had been uncovered, a face that most racial, sexual, gender minorities and most of the rest of the world was already quite aware of. It's not easy, and it's not a pleasant thing having your illusions dismantled right before your eyes. That's hard. In 2016, many of us were reeling from that dismantling. And that was before the pandemic. Before the deadly riot at the Capitol, before the invasion of Ukraine, before October 7th of last year, and the slaughter of 1,200 Israelis and the 40,000 Palestinian men, women, and children that have been slaughtered since then. Good old days, man. I believe many of us are still reeling. I don't think trauma is too strong a word for what our country has gone through and what many of us have felt as we have watched all of this unfold over the last 8 years. Again, I'm not making any predictions about the upcoming election except for this. There is wisdom in being prepared. There's wisdom in being prepared. Hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. I want to consider with you a bit the ancient spiritual practice of preparation. It is reasonable to understand all spiritual disciplines and all spiritual practices as acts of preparation. All of them. In the rituals of indigenous people all over the world, there is attention paid to preparation. We prepare to come of age. People prepare to take on leadership. People prepare for waging war, for the hunt, for the planting, for the tending, for the harvest. There are ceremonies and songs to prepare the spirit for birth and for death. Consider that in Buddhism, all the practices, the mantras, the meditations, and understanding can be seen as a kind of a preparation. They're meant to prepare you in body and mind and spirit to achieve peace, to experience a more ultimate truth, to know yourself as one with all that is inextricably connected, interdependent. Consider that in the Bible, nearly all the parables that Jesus tells are about preparation. They ask, are you ready? The stories ask, have you prepared the soil so it's ready to be planted and be fruitful? Have you filled your lamp with oil so that you'll have your way lighted when you go out into the world? Have you filled your wineskin for the wedding? These are what the parables ask us. Are you ready? All of these, right, are metaphors for the Spirit, metaphors for our beings. Have you made your spirit ready? Have you made yourself spiritually, emotionally, mentally ready? Have you emptied yourself, or tried to at least emptied yourself of the falsehoods and distractions so you can be present to the mystery? Or in the language of Jesus, to participate in the kingdom of God. And think of all the ways we prepare ourselves for things, even in the secular world, right? We invest in education. We read books on parenting. We go to trainings and seminars and workshops and to church. We're told early in our lives to save our money and think ahead, bring a hat and gloves in case the weather gets cold. We buy insurance. We write wills and put on makeup and plan menus and write grocery lists, on and on. Probably half the time we spend is getting ready for something else. Amen? I spend several whole days every week preparing for this hour with you on Sundays. I appreciate this old parable from Hid Masti. Years ago, a farmer owned land on the Atlantic seacoast, and he advertised for hired hands. But most people didn't want to work on farms on the Atlantic coast. They were dreadful, awful storms that would rage across the Atlantic and wreak havoc on buildings and crops. The farmer interviewed all kinds of people for the job, received a steady stream of no's. Finally, a man approached the farmer, said, I'm interested in the job. The farmer says, are you a good farmhand? The man said, well, I can sleep when the wind blows. Which seemed an odd kind of an answer to the farmer, but he was desperate for help. He hired the man. The guy worked well around the farm, busy all the time. The farmer felt satisfied. But then one night, the wind was blowing in from offshore. Jumping out of bed, the farmer grabbed a lantern and rushed over to the hired hand's sleeping quarters. He shook the man and said, get up, a storm is coming. We got to go tie everything down before it blows away. The man rolled over and said firmly, no, sir. I told you I can sleep when the wind blows. Enraged, the farmer was going to fire him, but then he realized he had too much to do. He hurried outside to prepare for the storm, and to his amazement, all the haystacks had been covered with tarpaulins. The cows were in the barn, the chickens were in the coop, the doors were barred, the shutters were secured, everything was tied down. Nothing could blow away. The farmer understood then what the hired man meant, and so he returned to his own bed and slept while the wind blew. Now, I shared that parable with a small group in one of my classes once. And someone said, oh man, that kind of preparation, that's the stuff I've been doing all my life.
Like I'm ready for every possible calamity and storm. I'm about as prepared as I can be. But my question is, like, what about being prepared for opportunities? I think we tend to stay so focused getting ready for disaster, we tend to miss the joy and the wonder. And I think I said at the time, something like, that's a really great point. A different way of taking on that story. But I have to tell you that inside I was thinking, oh, yes! Yes, God, I love my church. I don't know how many of us can sleep when the wind blows through our lives, but I'd love to just turn that question around. How many of us tend to sleep through the magic? How many of us sleepwalk through the mystery and the wonder and the love that surrounds us all the time because we're worried about something else? How many of us sleepwalk through the chances to connect or smell the roses or listen with our full attention to that still small voice within, the one that's asking, am I getting it right? The great Sufi poet, Jalaluddin Rumi, has some strong feelings about this issue. He wrote, "Those who don't feel this love, pulling them like a river, those who don't drink dawn like a cup of spring water, or take in sunset like supper, those who don't want to change, let them sleep. This love is beyond the study of theology, that old trickery and hypocrisy. If you want to improve your mind that way, sleep on." I've given up on my brain. I've torn the cloth to shreds and thrown it away. If you're not completely naked, wrap yourself in your beautiful robe of words and sleep. Keep walking, though there's no place to get to. Don't try to see through the distances. That's not for human beings. Move within, but don't move the way fear makes you move. Today, like every other day, wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be the beauty we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. I think it's way too easy. And it happens far too often that we go about our business mostly sleepwalking through our days. And on those occasions when we stumble across some unexpected beauty or some opportunity to get out of our heads and into the present, we can't find it within ourselves to say, yes. So easy to get lost in the trickery and hypocrisy. So easy to not wake up and seize the moment. So easy to just blithely pass by some moment of love, some chance to grow, some spectacular fall colors, some chance to connect with something higher and holier than we are. And instead of saying yes, we remain consumed with, oh, I got to get the shopping done, or the laundry, or the presentation organized, or I'm too busy, or I'm not worthy, or whatever we are allowing to occupy our beautiful minds, our beautiful hearts, which I believe are always ready to be lit on fire with wonder and awe and delight. preparation. Let me bring this to a close with some just practical advice. And I'm going to slightly paraphrase my colleague, Reverend Jack Taylor. Here are some things I suggest you do to prepare for this week. First, it is okay to limit your exposure. Like I often, we need to know, but we don't need to know everything, and we don't need to know it immediately. And let's be real here, 90% of what we're being fed is much more about keeping our attention than it is about giving us facts. Amen? Or as I sometimes like to say, once you turn it off, there's an infinite number of channels to choose from. Second, and I really think this I can't overemphasize, I think this is what will carry us through this and through anything else. Remember that all the people you love and all the people who need you today will still need you during and after this election. All of them, no matter what happens. All the people that you love and who love you, all the people that you need and who need you, they will all still need you, and you will still need them. Tuesday, Wednesday, next month, next year, that's a really healthy place to put your energy. Third thing, and this is hard, but I do believe it's a fine and an appropriate discipline. Keep in mind that all your opinions might be wrong. Like all of them. There are other people who are just as bright, just as ethically concerned, just as suffering, who do not share your deeply held convictions. Fourth, pay attention to and take care of your own feelings. Allowing yourself to slip into hate or resentment or bitterness will warp your best arguments and twist all of our personalities into something ugly. Anger has value only if it's really rarely and precisely used. Sorrow is universally respected, but will render us useless if we don't also find some time for joy. Lastly, and I mean this even in a Unitarian Universalist church, pray for peace. And I'm not calling here for divine intervention. If that were possible, wars and contentious elections would have ended a very, very long time ago. We can't count on that. What I do mean, as in the prayer earlier, pay attention to the things which make for a peaceful world. Give your attention to the things that make for a peaceful world. We need to envision such a time, not lose sight of it. Imagination is powerful stuff. Envision that time. Envision your place in it. Let the beauty we love be the beauty we do. There will be enough victims. There will be enough victims. Let's be sure we do not become victims or create victims by our own attitudes or actions. Amen? No matter what happens this week, life will go on. Thank you.
Please rise in body or spirit. Join us in singing Keep On Moving Forward. And when that's over, we will go into our closing affirmation.
Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna show our children courage. Show our children courage. Show our children courage, never turning back, never turning back. Gonna keep on loving boldly, keep on loving boldly, keep on loving boldly. Never turning back, never turning back. Gonna keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, never turning back, never turning back, never turning back, never turning back. Behind all our differences and beneath our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together throughout all time, through life and death, and the space between the stars, throughout all time, through life and death, and the space between the stars.
Be noble, for you come from the stars. Be humble, for you are made of the earth. And be kind, for you belong to each other. Our service is ended. Go in peace. Please help carry chairs out.